For most of human history, when we looked up at the stars, we saw myths and gods. Then, for a little while, it became something else, a destination, a race between nations. But that's not the race we're seeing today. Now, the players aren't countries, they're billionaires. So how on earth did we get here?
I mean, it's a huge shift, right? And it happened fast, in just a couple of decades. To really get how a handful of individuals could basically take over this massive national dream, we've got to rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of our journey into space.
Okay, so the first space race, let's be honest, it wasn't really about pure science. It was a proxy war, a fight for who had the better system, the US or the Soviet Union, playing out in the stars. And who paid for it all? We did, the taxpayers. It was all about national pride. And you know, the Apollo missions, they felt different. They felt like our achievement, a project by the people for the people. When Neil Armstrong took that first step on the moon, yeah, it was an American flag, but it felt like a win for everybody. It was this incredible moment showing what we could do when a whole country got behind one single massive goal.
And when I say massive commitment, I mean massive. At its absolute peak, NASA's budget was almost 4% of the entire US federal budget. Just think about that for a second. That's like 4 cents of every single tax dollar going towards getting off this rock. During the Cold War, space wasn't just some side project. It was a full-blown national obsession.
But what happens after you win the big race? Well, the momentum just faded. National priorities changed, the money dried up, and that grand vision of the Apollo era, it just kind of disappeared, leaving this big empty space.
And at decline, it happened in stages. After Apollo, frankly, people got less interested. Then you had the space shuttle, an amazing piece of tech for sure, but plagued by tragedy and insane costs. Then came the International Space Station, which was great for international cooperation, but the really bold, groundbreaking stuff, it slowed way down. NASA became, well, careful, bureaucratic, and that created the perfect opening, a vacuum, for someone new to step in. And right into that vacuum stepped a totally new kind of pioneer. These weren't astronauts from government agencies. Nope, they were tech titans from Silicon Valley boardrooms. And they had two things: unbelievable amounts of personal cash and even bigger ideas for what we could do out there.
Take Elon Musk. His goal, the one that drives SpaceX, is just wild. Make humanity a multi-planetary species. It's not about planting a flag. It's about ensuring our survival by getting people to Mars. A whole colony, that's the endgame.
But to even dream of that, you have to solve the money problem. And SpaceX did it by cracking the code on reusable rockets. This was the game changer. Creating rockets that could land themselves and fly again didn't just make things a little cheaper. It completely upended the economics of space travel. It was a revolution.
But Musk isn't the only billionaire in this race. You've got Amazon founder Jeff Bezos with his company, Blue Origin. His vision is just as big, but different. He wants to move heavy industry into orbit, preserve Earth. The idea is to save our planet by moving all the polluting factories into space, into these giant habitats.
So you've really got these two totally different paths for our future. Musk is on the escape plan, right? Fast, innovate, iterate, get to Mars. Bezos is playing the long game. He wants to build the infrastructure, the roads and bridges in near-Earth orbit, for a future where millions of people are living and working in space.
And then there's this whole other thing happening. Beyond those two big guys, you've got the rise of space tourism. I'm talking about companies like Virgin Galactic, selling tickets for a quick jaunt to the edge of space, for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Which brings up a pretty big question. Is space actually opening up for all of us? Or is it just becoming the newest, most exclusive playground for the mega-rich?
So you've got all this new activity, people planning colonies, selling tourist tickets, and it's all happening in what's basically a legal gray zone. I mean, the rulebook for space was written a long, long time ago for a completely different game, and now it's being pushed to its limits.
The foundation of all space law is this thing called the Outer Space Treaty from 1967. It was created back during the Cold War to stop the US or the Soviets from just planting a flag on the moon and saying, "This is ours." It basically says space belongs to everyone. But here's the thing, it was written for nations, not for companies.
And that leads to a massive loophole. The treaty says you can't own the moon, but it doesn't really say anything about owning the stuff you dig up from the moon. And that, my friends, opens the door to a potential cosmic gold rush for whoever can get their drills in the ground first.
So where does this leave the original player, NASA?
Well, as they plan to go back to the moon with their Artemis program, the whole model has been turned on its head. They're not building their own giant rockets anymore. Instead, they're paying private companies like SpaceX to give them a ride. It's public money meets private innovation. But you have to ask, is this a brilliant collaboration, or has the agency that once led the world become totally dependent on the very companies it helped get off the ground?
And all of this, all of it, funnels down to one final, huge question. It's not about tech. It's not even about money. It's about who gets to write the rule book for the future of humanity.
I mean, let's just picture it. A city on Mars, built, owned, and operated by a private corporation. Who makes the laws there? Who protects your rights? Is it a government on a planet that's millions of miles away? Or is it the company's terms and conditions? This isn't just some sci-fi fantasy anymore. It's a real, practical problem we're going to have to solve, and soon.
Because when you boil it all down, this new space race, it isn't just about exploration anymore. It's not about national pride. It's about power. It's about who decides what human society looks like when it's not on Earth. The next frontier, you see, it isn't really space. It's power. And whoever wins this race won't just own a piece of the sky. They might just own the future.